Hey there, builder buddies! Listen up. Have I got a story for you? Whenever you don't know what to do with your feelings, the best thing to listen to is a story from God's Word. Do my builder buddies know what God's Word is?
The Bible!
That's right! Long ago, God's people kept doing the wrong things and not doing what God wanted them to do. So, for 7 years, God allowed their enemies to rule over them. God's people were so scared that they hid inside caves in the mountains. Can you show me how God's people looked when they were scared? Let me see you all make a scared face. You do look scared. Now, their enemies, the Midianites, were so mean and were destroying all the food that God's people planted. So finally, God's people prayed and asked God for help. On the count of 3, say help, like God's people did when they prayed. 1, 2, 3.
Help!
Good job, builders. Because God was with his people, he heard their prayers and sent an angel to a man named Gideon. Gideon was scared that the Midianites would come take away his food, so he was hiding as he prepared wheat. That's when the angel of the Lord appeared to him. The angel said to Gideon, "Mighty warrior, the Lord is with you." Gideon did not feel very mighty. Remember, he was hiding because he was scared the enemy would come take his food. So Gideon asked the angel why God's people were having so many troubles. The angel told Gideon that the Lord would give him the strength to save Israel, but Gideon was still scared. So Gideon asked God to do something that would show that he was really going to help Gideon save the people. Gideon put a piece of wool on the ground outside his cave. Before Gideon went to sleep, he asked God to make the wool wet and the ground around it dry. If God did this, Gideon would know that God was with him, and he wouldn't be scared to do what God wanted him to do. So Gideon went to check the wool early the next morning. The ground was dry, and the wool was so wet that Gideon was able to squeeze so much water into a bowl. But Gideon was still feeling scared. So he asked God to do one more thing. He set out the wool again and asked God to make the wool dry and the ground wet. Builders, do you think God made the wool dry and the ground wet?
Yes!
You got it! The next morning, Gideon saw that the ground was wet and the wool was dry. Now Gideon was sure that God was with him and would give him the power to do what God wanted him to do. When Gideon was scared, God was with him. If you are feeling scared, you can pray and ask God to help you, because he is with you too. Thanks for listening. Here's one of my special tools to help you remember what you heard from God's Word today.
When you're feeling scared, God is with you. You can use me to smash your fears away as you remember that when I'm scared, God is with me.